Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 3rd of April, now it's 2 o'clock, middle of the day by Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my channel in which I share latest updates on the news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There are quite a few very significant developments and news that I'd like to share with you for this moment. But before I start, let me once again emphasize how grateful I am for your time, attention and support. Thank you very much. That's been said, let's talk about news now, and I will start with the statement that was made by National Anti-Terrorist Committee. Probably you all already know information that yesterday Zelensky's regime did conduct yet another terrorist attack on Russian soil in St. Petersburg this time, and famous Russian journalist Vladlen Tatarsky was killed during that terrorist strike. And we have statement from a National Anti-Terrorist Committee, and let me read it for you. So, National Anti-Terrorist Committee reported about Ukrainian trace in the murder of Vladlen Tatarsky, journalist. The murder of military correspondent Vladlen Tatarsky was planned by the special services of Ukraine with the participation of supporters of Alexei Navalny. The National Anti-Terrorism Committee said. The terrorist act committed on April 2nd in St. Petersburg against the well-known journalist Vladlen Tatarsky was planned by the Special Services of Ukraine with the involvement of agents from among persons collaborating with the so-called Anti-Corruption Fund of Navalny, of which the detained Daria Trepova is an active supporter. So Russian police and security services did detain this person, Daria Trepova. She did bring a sculpture yesterday in that cafe where a creative evening was held by Vladlen Tatarsky. He did presented this sculpture as a gift to Tatarsky, and that sculpture was full of explosions and it did detonate. And as a result, Vladlen Tatarsky died and more than 30 people was injured. 32 people to be exact. So as you can see, Russian officials are now stating that this terrorist attack was conducted by Zelensky's regime. That's a person that bring that sculpture, and she did said after she was arrested that it's her that bring that sculpture in that meeting as a gift to Tatarsky. And yes, this terrorist attack is very significant, really, because if you see Russian language pages on a Telegram channel or any other platform, you will probably notice how angry society is. Even those people that never even watch anything that Vladlen Tatarsky made, because this is the second time when Zelensky's regime is targeting Russian journalists and killing Russian journalists. As you remember, a few months ago, Daria Dugina was killed by Zelensky's regime, also in terrorist attack. And questions are rising about general security in Russia, because it seems like no one is safe, really. Questions are rising about effectiveness of Russian secret services or anti-terrorist units. Questions are rising about softness of Putin and his command towards Zelensky and his henchmen. And many other questions are rising, and basically we are seeing now a picture when situation when Putin and his inner circle is losing support of hardcore patriots of Russia. In all society, you have one part that are quite neutral always and kind of don't really cares about anything, and there is some other part of society that are very active as a citizen and with active citizen position, and the majority of them are very patriotic. That's a core of patriotic movement, and it seems like Putin now losing support of those people. And some organizations even have been created to raise voice and raise questions about everything that is happening, including status, for example, of special military operation and means that this operation have been conducted. So this situation is not just about this terrorist strike. This fact that Zelensky's regime is freely conducting terrorist activity on Russian territory and killing Russian journalists just once again highlights overall frustration that Russian society is feeling. And yes, the questions are raised, and these questions need some answers. And I don't know what answer will be from Putin, but probably he and his people, his inner circle, understands that's only so much society can tolerate before some before situation will become close to instability. And probably that's why Zelensky's regime is conducting this kind of terrorist attacks, because they know any society has its limits. Any society, and Russian society are close to that limit. When when Putin's popularity will don't stop no more protest movements, let's say this way, and protest movements from patriotic society. Once again, not the pro-Western part of society, but patriotic one, which is, as I said, are frustrated very much by many things. So situation is difficult, truly difficult, and I don't know what will be answer from Putin and his people. Me personally, how long I was talking about the Zelensky's regime is acting like terrorist organization, almost on daily basis, isn't it? And as you can see, they are freely conducting terrorist activity on Russian territory, and they are able to kill famous Russian journalists that have some security. So if they are able to kill those journalists, then no one is safe, really. No one is safe, and there is no guarantees that next time they will not blow up some chemical weapons. They will not detonate chemical weapons in Moscow or in some other city, because they are terrorists, for God's sake, and they have been treated by Putin very softly until now, at least. Yes, I know many people are saying that what Zelensky is like doing more damage right now, and his people are doing more damage for themselves. So there is no need for Putin to take some measures against them. But is it really true? ask Tatarsky about it. So something must be done, for God's sake. This cannot continue forever. Something has to be done. And yeah, I mean, it's depressing. It's truly depressing, though, what is happening. And as I said, once society will lose trust or lose patience, then we are entering some dangerous territory, So I don't know, really. Let's continue. Let's continue with news. By the way, if you can read in Russian or you can translate, I mean, just check how angry society is. Just check Russian language pages. You're not gonna see some critical questions on mainstream Russian media, of course, but just check pages on internet. People are mad as hell, man. And I'm saying that we are talking about patriotic part of society, very patriotic part of society. That's hardcore supporters of Putin, mainly, or used to be supporters of Putin, because time to time you see comments that they are not happy with anyone in government right now. And yes, as I said, only so much can any society tolerate. Only so much frustration and pain. And probably Russian society is approaching that point of no return. And I hope Putin and the current Russian government do realize that. Let's continue now. Let's continue. And this is TASS News Agency's report, according to which Russian side did establish full control over the central parts of Bakhmut, and the administrative building of Bakhmut is now under Russian control. Also, we have statement from Prigozhin, and he said that yesterday late afternoon, PMC Wagner units did establish full control over the central parts of Bakhmut and over the administrative building. Let me show you on the map that area. So this is Bakhmut, by the way, and we are talking about basically entire this area here. Entire this area is under Russian control now. There are some units of Bakhmut garrison trapped still in some pockets here, and PMC Wagner units are now neutralizing them. But we had statement from Pushilin, for example. Pushilin is head of DPR, Donetsk People's Republic, and according to his statement, PMC Wagner units did approach railway station in Bakhmut. And that's a railway station, by the way. That's a railway. So, as I said, entire this area is under Russian control now. Even though there are some small pockets that Bakhmut garrison has some small units there. But overall situation is in Bakhmut is approaching decisive moment because of high concentration of Ukrainian forces in this city. Casualties among Ukrainian soldiers are just terrifying. I mean, just enormous, absolutely enormous. I did saw some video on Telegram channels. I could not share it on my channel because it was too graphic, but in that video, for example, one of the videos, only on one floor of building, you could see some, I don't know, 50 or maybe even more killed Ukrainian soldiers. As I said, because of high concentration of those forces here, even one shell can take out entire unit. And same time, we have from Pushilin another statement, according to which Russian side did not see any attempts from Bakhmut garrison to flee uh, city in organized manner, which means that they don't have order. They still don't have order in Bakhmut to flee this town, and that means that Zelensky's regime truly sacrificed them. As I was saying, for how long now? They have been sacrificed so that Zelensky and his Western masters will gain some time for themselves. And yes, it's only, I don't know, Bakhmut garrison is collapsed basically. There is no Bakhmut garrison no more. It's just military units in panic, military units that are disorganized and don't really are able to conduct any offensive or defensive operations. Best they can is to try to escape city through these fields here on the foot, because military equipment, armored personnel carriers and tanks will be stuck in the mud on that fields, but they can try to flee on their feet or on some civilian vehicles, or surrender to Russian side. So fate of Bakhmut is well known for quite a long time now. It's only matter of time, matter of days at this stage when PMC Wagner will be able to neutralize all those units that are still trapped in Bakhmut. And at the same time, we have statements from Pushilin, and he also talked about Avdiivka, and he said that situation in Avdiivka is extremely difficult also for garrison of that city. This is Avdiivka here. And of course, you don't have to be a military expert to realize, just with one look of this situation in Avdiivka. And even this pro-Ukrainian map is recognizing that garrison in Avdiivka basically is finished. If they not flee now, they will not flee ever. They will stay forever in Bakhmut and find their last day there. So that's the situation. Also a hot point, of course, Marinka, and sides are exchanging fire on constant basis. Few days ago and even yesterday, there were some reports that Ukrainian forces managed to improve their positions in Marinka, and Russian side was forced to retreat from a few blocks here. But overall, most of the Marinka is under Russian control, and yet again, once situation with the Bakhmut will resolve, once this town will become under full Russian control, probably we will see big counteroffensive of Russian side in Donetsk direction, and under Russian control will become not just Marinka but also Avdiivka, of course. And then I think Russian side will try to encircle Ugledar. Russian side will just try to encircle Ugledar. So yet again, as you can see here, Melitopol was shelled by Zelensky's regime. It's happening on daily basis now. They are using HIMARS to strike peaceful citizens of Melitopol. But what you gonna expect from terrorists, man? What you can expect from Nazis and terrorists? Exactly that. They will try to kill as many Russian civilians as they possibly can. So it's a question time. And before I answer to one of the questions that I see under yesterday's update in comment section, I will promote my channel a little bit. And yes, even though I have some doubts that this project will survive this month, as long as I'm making these updates, I have to at least try my best to save this project, and that's why I hate to do it, but I have to say that if you think this channel is interesting, useful, has some potential, and deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to subscribe to my Patreon page, or support through donations, through small donations, through PayPal. You will see links under this video in the description box. As I said, man, I hate to do it, man. I do understand that all independent channels are fully dependent on the support of subscribers. That's how it works, but I find it difficult for me to, so to be honest, I don't really feel good, and I was thinking maybe I will skip today. I will not make any update, but yet again, I mean, it's matter of responsibility. I do updates all day, every day, and I had to do it. And when it comes to question time, by the way, I do receive this question, I mean, time after time, almost on daily basis. Why am I not collaborating with some big channels, big names in this field of news and political commentary? And well, I did answer these questions on my Patreon page recently, but now I will say that it's not up to me, isn't it? It's not up to me, guys. My channel is too small and in a surviving mode, let's say this way. As I said, I'm not sure that I will be able to continue this activity on this channel, at least on everyday basis, because I'm actively looking for a full-time job, and once I will find one, then it's gonna be difficult to maintain same approach and do updates on daily basis. But I will come up with some idea. I may do 2-3 videos a week, maybe one, and summarize all the news that was active or relevant in previous days. I don't know how it will develop really, but I do understand that I have to find job, for God's sake. I have to find job and to have some stable income, because this is too stressful, man. When you don't know what kind of funds you have to operate, during the month, and I have some responsibilities, before my family, first of all. So yes, and when it comes to collaboration with some big names, man, who gonna collaborate with me when, as I said, man, my channel is too small and in survival mode? No one needs that, isn't it? So I will not even ask. And how could I ask? What I'm gonna say, let's say, to big channels? I mean, can you give me some attention or what? So it's just I'm happy that I'm grateful that some of you think that it will be interesting for tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of subscribers on that big channels to listen to my opinion about certain topics. I'm truly grateful for that, but yet again, it's not up to me, and I don't think big channels will even think about inviting me on their project. So This is my answer. This is my answer. It's maybe not the answer that you would like to hear, but you know, it is what it is, man. Let's continue now. Let's continue. And how long is this video? 25 minutes. Okay. I will go through headlines. And as I said, for guys, I'm a little bit sleepy today. That's the right word. As I said, I don't really feel well, but you know. So this is RIA Novosti's report about statement that one of Russian officials made. This is ambassador of Russian Federation, basically in Belarus, Boris Gryzlov, and he said that tactical nuclear weapons that Russia will deploy in Ukraine will be facilitated in the western parts of, not in Ukraine, but in Belarus, for God's sake, man. Those nuclear weapons will be facilitated in the western parts of Belarus, closer to borders of Poland and the Baltic states. Let me show you Belarus on the map. So that's Belarus here, and Belarus is bordering with Latvia and Litva, and also with Poland, and that's the western part of Belarus, and those tactical nuclear warheads will be deployed in this area. And basically they can be used on Iskander ballistic missiles, and those missiles are quite hard to intercept for any air defense systems, especially those ones that Baltic states or Poland had. And once again, this is warning. This is warning for NATO member states to stay away from Belarus, to stay away from Kaliningrad, and to stay away from Ukraine also, but especially from Belarus and Kaliningrad region of Russian Federation, because probably Moscow very well knows that it's inevitable when Polish involvement, open involvement in this conflict is just inevitable. Question is, will Polish troops establish control over the western parts of Ukraine and then stop there, or they will move eastwards and fight with directly fight with Russian forces? That's the only question, really, but I'm quite sure it's only a matter of time, and at least Polish forces will be introduced to the Ukrainian conflict. Let's continue now, and we have a RBK News report here about MiG-29 fighter jets that was delivered to Ukraine by Poland. We don't have exact number how many of fighter jets were delivered to Ukraine, but Poland do have about 40 MiG-29s, or used to have about 40 MiG-29s, and quite possible that 5 or 10 of them already are in Ukraine, and quite possibly it's Polish pilots that are operating with those MiG-29s. On a few days ago, we did had the report that Slovakia also delivered first 4 MiG-29s to Ukraine. So yes, it was only a matter of time when Western states will start transferring fighter jets to Zelensky's Nazi regime. And in case of MiG-29, yes, they have some plausible deniability. They can say that Ukrainian air forces are, well prepared to operate with MiG-29s, because MiG-29 was and are in inventory of Ukraine. But once Western-made fighter jets will be introduced to a battlefield, and that will happen. I'm quite sure about it. Then it will be, obvious for everyone probably that it's definitely Western pilots that are flying on those planes, and it's definitely Western crews that are conducting maintenance works on those planes. And I'm quite sure Western made fighter jets will operate from NATO member states airfields, not from Ukraine. Let's continue now. Let's continue, and this is and few more news about some economical stuff, and yeah. So this is Renovos's report about coordination between OPEC plus countries, and we have information that not just Russia reducing its oil input to world market by 500,000 barrels. This will be done also by Saudi Arabia. We did have information about this yesterday. I did share on my Telegram channel that news, and basically we have a situation now when it's becoming obvious that Saudi Arabia area did made its mind and made its decision to stay with China and Russia, and to stay away from Washington, from the West. It's truly too obvious now at this stage, especially after this huge diplomatic breakthrough that happened with Chinese help between Saudi Arabia and Iran. That was a huge deal. And yes, you can see first results of this cooperation of OPEC plus countries, because decision was made to collectively reduce oil input to world market. Prices have been rising, and WTI, for example, become more expensive for 7.12%, and the Brent is now, and price for WTI is $81 for a barrel, and the price for Brent also did rise by 7%, and it's currently have been sold for $85.59 for a barrel. So as you can see, despite these attempts from Western elites to damage Russian energo sector, and minimize Russia's income from energy exports, Moscow quite successfully managing to, cooperate with the OPEC member states, and as a result, prices are good enough for Russian side, and Russia does makes probably more money now than before Western sanctions. Who knows? Let's continue now. And this is also interesting news. That's what I was just talking about. That's what I was talking just a minute ago. We have statement from Silvanov, he's a Russian finance minister, and according to him, Russian budget received 2.5 trillion rubles as extra revenue. And the 2.5 trillion rubles is about 30 to 35 billion dollars. So since the beginning of this year, the Russian side is managing to have a deficit when it comes to budget. Even though overall budget has some deficit, before end of the year there probably will be some deficit, but at this stage, as you can see, Russian side managing to fill up budget with some extra cash. And 30 to 35 billion dollars is quite amount of money for any country, really, for any country, not just for Russia. And this is gonna be last news for today's update. TASS news agency is reporting that Russian billionaires have become more rich since the beginning of this year. And not just richer, but $13 billion richer. So, yes, rich becoming more rich and the poor becoming more poor. That's usual stuff, isn't it? Everywhere in the world. So, yes, sanctions or not, but Russian billionaires are managing to make tons of money, really. So yes, good for them, If they are making money lawfully and if they are paying taxes, then good for them, So this is it. This is it for now. This is it for now. I hope you will find this video interesting. And if so, please consider to hit that like button. Leave some commentary about any topic you like. Likes and comments are very important to somehow, breach this very hostile algorithm of YouTube. And also, if you can, please consider to share links to my videos with your friends on Telegram, Facebook, Twitter, or any other platform that you are active on. It will greatly increase my chances to reach wide audience, and maybe if more and more subscribers will come to our community, maybe this project will survive. Who knows, man? I would like to continue work for this channel, but it's quite frustrating, it's quite frustrating when you don't know what kind of funds you have to operate during the months. That's why Patreon is very important, but only have I don't really have that many subscribers on Patreon, let me say this way, and I'm very grateful for all of them. That's little stability that so much necessary when you are creator on YouTube. But anyway, yes, this is it, man. This is it, and yes, take care and have a nice day.